Good morning, afternoon, or evening because I actually have no idea when you all are going to see this video. My name is Pinto and I'm a former resident advisor. I worked at Calhoun Lofts and Cougar Village 2 during my time with student housing and residential life. So when I was younger, I thought, I'll be a Power Ranger. And then I got to college and I was like, no, I'll save the world by being a math teacher. And then I somehow ended up being a resident advisor. And although I thought I was going to change the world, being a resident advisor changed my world. And I'm here today to talk to you all about finding your spark and using your spark to light the way down your path and your journey. And of course, this is going to be different for everyone, but this is just my experience through my time in the last 3 years. So, what is your spark? There are 5 pillars to the Cheryl mission statement, and if you're like myself, you know how to Google those 5 pillars because they are, they're not meant to be easy. They are meant to make you stop and think and reflect on them. And I think that's such an important value that the housing department has on campus. So, what is the spark? For me, the spark has always been being that mentor that I wish I would have had when I was younger. And an example of this was during my RA interview. I had just failed a test, found out something went tragically wrong with my financial aid, and just everything seemed to be coming down. I walked into my interview, and if Jackie from Bayou is there, she'll tell you that I left the room in tears just because it was an extremely rough time for me. And I thought, okay, it's over. Yikes. Here I am 3 years later being able to present in front of the housing department. So funny how the universe works out. But the reason that day was so memorable for me was because my RA, Willie Anderson, at the time, I told her what happened, and she left what she was doing, came immediately to me, took me to one of her favorite spots on campus, and we just talked for 3 hours. And I distinctly remember that conversation, and I was like, if there's any possible way I can be an RA, then this is the type of RA that I want to be. And, I want to change someone's life for the better. And I believe my RA did that for me by, allowing me to get plugged into the housing department, the orientation team, and just, if had it not been for her, I don't think I would have been as involved on campus as I was during my undergrad career. So for me, the spark was definitely being intentional with those relationships and really developing your community like that. So not just picking and choosing who, but being intentional with everyone who was not only just on your floor, but also in your building. So that was my spark. My journey, for those of you who knew me in undergrad, I was a director of Metropolitan Volunteer Program. So I love services at my core. Um, I just think it's a great experience, and especially in Houston, which is so rich in the nonprofit sector. So being able to connect students with those opportunities was phenomenal. And so I shaped that for service-oriented programs during my time as an RA. So making blankets out of fleece or making cards for breast cancer awareness and just things like that, really showing students and residents, how you can give back from your very own home. And I think that's why it's so important with your programs to, make sure there's always a learning outcome, whether they're social, educational, or recreational. There should always be some kind of thing that resident leaves with that, in a few weeks, few days, it makes them stop and think, hey, I remember taking this away from that program. So a little tidbit, a little nugget of knowledge there. And so now what does all of that mean? I'm currently coming to you all from Stillwater, Oklahoma, where I'm pursuing a graduate degree in quantitative economics. And how does all of that play out with service? Well, I want to open up housing and developmental centers in low-income neighborhoods, and I think Houston would definitely be my number one spot to do so. I want to provide centers that will, help clothe and feed the homeless, provide shelter to them, as well as, provide scholarship assistance and tutoring and mentorship to just anyone in the neighborhood, really, developing that sense of community. And I think had I not been an RA, I wouldn't be so confident in my abilities to develop a sense of community with people that I don't know. So being an RA over the last 3 years really just transformed my world and from a multitude of things. So for example, when the entire 10 floors of your building are flooding, nothing's going to teach you quite the amount of risk assessment that that event will, but also things like conflict resolution and mediation with your staff, with your residents. Those are skills that you don't really pick up in a classroom. You pick them up through experience, and there's just so many positive things to be said about the RA role and just any role in housing in general, because these students, this could be their first time away from home, and this is their first time being on their own. So to know that there's friendly staff they can engage with, that they can talk with, that they have someone at the end of the day that they can go to and ask questions and ask for help and not feel judged for it. I think it's just so important to not take this role lightly. You know, whether you're an RA, a DA, you're working in the housing office, what you do will impact someone's world. And, you know, I always say I might not change the world today, but today I do hope to change a part of someone's role. So, RAs, DAs, and housing, I wish you all the best of luck in this next academic year, hoping that it goes well, it goes swimmingly, and that you are able to impact these residents for the better. And if you all should ever need help or emotional support or anything of that kind of nature, please feel free to not reach out to me because I'm in grad school, but you have an awesome array of staff that's available to help you. And so get to know your residents outside of your RA hours. Get to know your pro staff. Stop by the housing office. Make sure you see your RLC and your community mentors. They're all there to help you and to make this experience worthwhile. And I promise you that if you put forth the effort, you're not going to leave disappointed. So, Cougs, I wish you all the best of luck, and I can't wait to hear what you all do this next year. Bye. I think it's still recording. Okay. And goodbye. Is it still recording? Okay. Now